So we're at La Rojeña, the oldest distillery in Latin America. They're still making thousands and hundreds of thousands of bottles of Cuervo here every single day, every single year.
As Tony alluded to, you can really feel the history in this place, the process, the craftsmanship, but also as part of this, we get to drink some of the tequila that invented tequila.
Today, guys, you're lucky. This is fresh, white, and 55% alcohol for you. Some for sure. It's a little bit strong.
Mike didn't do the right proper technique.
No, I definitely breathe.
No, you breathe after.
Yeah.
I can smell it.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I love this town.
You got a big,
it's a good town.
smile on
It's a
your
good
face.
town.
Right out of the spigot of the bottle. So look at the difference between your 6-month tequila and your 18-month tequila barrel aged. So that's what it looks like. Of course, that's aged much more. As you can see, the color of it is very dark.
Yeah, Tony's good at this. And I'm good at this.
And he's good at that, which is why I hooked him up with the 18er. All right, we're here in the family cellar right now. Best bottle of tequila I've ever tasted in my entire life.
Oh, the Vampiro's really good.
We made it to the agave field. We saw Don Manuel, the jimador, showed us how to cut la piña, showed us the difference between a cooked one and the regular one right out of the ground.
I always want you to be honest. I'm always intimidated whenever I come across a jimador because they're just way more man than I could ever be.
Always.
Always. What a beautiful view.
The best.
It's incredible.
It's a volcano back there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we're good. It hasn't gone off in 2,000 years.
It's dormant, we're cool.
Yeah, no biggie. It was this time last year that I was FaceTiming Tony telling him that he messed up. I mean, that's chicken shit. Chicken shit. And now Tony's
on my
here.
couch in my underwear.
Yeah.
I was sad.
Well, now Tony's here.
But now I'm back.
And he's trying to rook me, and I don't like it one bit. You're trying to rook me, dog.
It's for the people at home. I'm just using you as the vessel.
Yeah, he's using me as a vessel, but I don't like it. He's trying to alpha me the same way that he does in the studio.
Wherever you want to go, Mike, I'll follow you.
You smell the
All of these different palettes.
I keep it here.
We're very high mineral.
Drink it back, exhale through your nose. That's how you get the real taste of the agave.
Two know-it-alls on the same drill. I don't like him one bit. Yeah, you got me center seat.
All right, so we're at the bar, and I'm gonna ask the new bartender. I don't know if he's ready for this. I'm gonna ask him to make the house specialty.
Totally prepared for it.
The house specialty, baby.
Yeah,
Let me get it.
no, I do this all the time. So we'll do a little of that.
Oh,
Salt, some ice. Where's our Cuervo?
give me the good stuff.
All right. We got some lime juice.
Okay.
A little soda water.
Around the rim.
There we go.
Wow. All right, what do we call this?
Jalapeno.
Jalapeno. All right, let's taste it. The jalapeno. It's basically like a pineapple ranch water with a citrus note.
That's what I was going for. Jalapeno.
My man, jalapeno.
Back again for year 2 of our Jose Cuervo experience. We're here at the Jose Cuervo Express. We're gonna go down to Tequila, Mexico. It's a nice 2-hour train ride through some agave fields. We're gonna hang out with some family. You're in for a treat.
I can't wait. This is my first time on a train.
Well, most trains don't have DJs, and the tequila that invented tequila. I mean, what else do you need?
Trifecta, baby. I'm in.
Let's go have a great time. Don't mind if I do.
Going 2 hours with this vibe right here.
Every cart's a different vibe.
I like ours the best though.
Every cart has Cuervo Delicioso. The tequila that invented tequila. Not just tequila, Tony. The tequila. The entire trip has kind of already felt like a party, but we're going to build to crescendo today with the combo.
This is the party.
Not many parties are surrounded by agave fields. That's what makes this pretty much a once-in-a-lifetime party. I can't thank Cuervo enough for inviting me out here for a second year. It was really fun doing it with Tony this year. So many memories, distillery tours, agave fields, a comba.
Yeah.
We had a great time. We're about to have a closing dinner.
We had a lot of highlights. This dinner's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, this
We got
horse
a
show was
like-
incredible, and also Rose on a Horse is probably...
Did we get Rose on the horse?
You
or-
can laugh.
Let's go have dinner.
It's time for Tony's Nose Brian Hill. And it's brought brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Tony, kick us off.
Boys, the association tonight, Western Conference Finals kicks off. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves plus 7.5. They've had a lot of rest, a lot of time to create a zone that can bother the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder coming off a grueling 7-game series against the Nuggets. I'm going to take them Timberwolves. There's something there. Plus 7.5.
Town on alert.
The eyes of the world are on Raleigh. And no, not Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm talking about the big dumper Cal Raleigh. And the Seattle Mariners, who are red hot and playing the Chicago White Sox. My M's are on a bit of a roll. Now, I don't know who's towing the rubber today for the Mariners. They have not announced it yet. But whoever it is, I feel good about. Yeah. These M's are streaking. Yeah. I'm taking the Seattle Mariners against the spread.
On the hill.
I see that California is up 9-0 in the 7th inning in the ACC tournament over your beloved Miami Hurricanes. I'm guessing you're on the wrong side of that?
No, I didn't take action. I am on the wrong side of it. My team's losing 9-0 to a team that was 22-30 all season long. It's terrible. I'm not a big fan of what's happening in baseball, but I believe JD saved his job with that little Manny Diaz-like run that he had over the last couple of weeks, just to build up everybody's hopes. But this is hugely embarrassing. It was on mute, but I would have loved to have heard the in-game interview as he was down 9-0 because it lasted 7 seconds.
What do you do to get back in this game?
I'm sure that question was asked. He looked pretty revolted by everything. You got to fake a stomach ache at that point. You got to send an assist in it. Yeah. Well,
3.
That's right. Jim. I do miss Jim. You got to understand, this team finished below 500 last year. That does not happen at the University of Miami. The University of Miami is a blue blood baseball program. They don't miss regionals. That is not something that they do. If you think that's something that they do, you've been paying attention to baseball for a year. This is sad, but like I said, he's coming back next year, so hopefully what we saw a couple weeks ago is an indicator of, maybe the arrow changed in the direction it was pointing in, but I think it was fool's gold.
I have not seen this man in a while. I've not talked to him in a while, not since we covered Marlins baseball together many years ago. And Dan Graziano, I will say at the time, was like me, heavier back then. He was a man. Look, he's laughing now because he's the face of fitness now. He's a television person. He exercises every single day. He's obsessive compulsive about it. And Tony called him a liar. And I believe Greg Cody did as well.
No, I did not call him a liar. I did
Greg.
call him a little bit of a braggart for saying that 1,900 times in a row, to be exact, he had worked out.
So it's days, right? Like it's something every day.
Right.
So like maybe some days it's a long ride on the bike. Maybe it's a walk or run on the treadmill. Maybe it's dumbbells in the basement. Maybe it's something short just to keep the streak going. But ever since March 2nd, 2020, when the gym's all closed, and I realized I had stuff in my basement that we got hooked, man. And now it's like you can't let it stop. Now, like the streak is its own motivation.
Dan, how often do you look at the time and it's like 11:45 p.m. and you're like, ooh,
no,
we can't break this streak. It's time for a 5-minute sleep meditation here. Just keep things moving.
That's my big fear is that's how it'll end, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I'll get to 12:01. But,
you and Cal Ripken, man.
Hasn't happened yet. But hopefully we can get this to 2000 here. I've looked at what the date would be, and it's sometime in training camp time, so maybe back on the road. But been able to keep that going. Look, Dan, when we met, I was 23. I now have a 21-year-old son, so like it's become pretty important at this age, whatever age I am, to keep it going.
Everyone was talking a big game before, and now they're all tracking.
It's so bad.
They're ready to come at me with questions about the legitimacy of this.
Dan called you a fatso. Tony said that you were a liar.
I did
Greg
not.
said you were a braggart. It's just crazy what people
when I
were
was
saying
in my
earlier.
20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have
true.
to ask you one question, though. What, during this long streak, was the closest you came to breaking the streak? There had to be a day when you were sick and vomiting.
Yeah. Well, not vomiting, but I did have 2 bouts of COVID during this streak, and those were days where, if you looked back, you might see I did a 10-minute stretch or a 10-minute, arms and shoulders with some light weights.
I got to put an asterisk on this if it's a 10-minute.
All I was saying was asterisk.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, if you look at 1900 days, you're not going to see a lot of that. Like, it's just not going to be there. There are certain things, but I mean, again, a 10-minute stretch is something. It's something.
Dan,
something.
what about you're on like a European vacation with your beautiful family? Like, do you ever have to stop your family? You got plans? Like, no, I got to get something in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do it first. Like, my wife and I went to Paris in March, and that would be, we'd wake up in the morning, we'd go down to the hotel gym and knock it out.
Hotel gym?
Disgusting.
What?
A French one, no less. They're tiny.
Nice
what do they even have in there?
I have a
Body by Jake.
appointment with Alex Toussaint.
Courtyard. Yeah. So, no, in Paris. I mean, it was nice.
What's
nice
the
hotel,
latest
nice
that you've
hotel.
ever done the workout? What's the latest time in the day in the 1900?
All day in this. When I used to spend all day in the city doing shows, and then it was a day a couple years ago where my wife and her sister, my son, met me out for dinner. We didn't get home till like 9:30 at night, and the first thing I did was go right down there and knock it out because I was afraid I was going to lose my streak. That was probably 2 years ago.
Do you ever get worried that, like, you'll be on the West Coast and you get in the workout in the evening and maybe the app doesn't adjust the time, and so they think that you're on the East Coast and you let a day go by? Like, is there a customer service line you would call to say, hey, the streak should still be intact?
Yeah, you got to get out of my head. I mean, this is something I've definitely thought about. There's no question about it. What would I do? Because I check and I check and make sure, like, when I'm done workout, did it register? And like sometimes before bed, I'll check and just make sure because I worry about that. I don't want to have to call and fight for it. I really did a 15-minute, core class. Why can't you just?
Wait,
so I don't know.
Who would you call? You'd call customer service and say, we need to update my streak. I actually finished it.
Maybe I'd tweet at them. I have no idea, but it hasn't come to that, and hopefully it won't.
Do you have a target end date, a way that you
I was
kind of want to end
what's
this?
the end
How do
game,
we finish
Spence?
here? Yeah.
I don't have a target end date. I try every time I clear another 100, I kind of start marking off, well, what's 50 more? What's 100 more? How long can we keep this going? Again, like you say, like you laugh about like 10-minute stretch during COVID. If the streak wasn't alive, I might not be motivated to keep exercising now years later. So there was benefit to doing that. So no, I think it's just become an addiction.
Dan, do you have the longest?
I guess, okay. I don't know.
Better finish that sentence.
Yeah. Do you have the longest streak in Peloton history?
That's a question for them. I don't know.
Okay,
we'll
contact.
Gotta be top 100.
Yeah, find out. I would like to
them
know.
on the phone.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if you're jealous of Skip Bayless, who says he hasn't missed a workout since 1998?
Skip Bayless. Remember Skip Bayless used to live at the Residence Inn in Southington, Connecticut? Remember he had a room there that he just never checked out of for like 12 years?
I've never seen anything sadder than Dave Campbell by that pool at the Radisson with one of those silver things under his leathery red skin while smoking a cigarette. One of those tanning things under his chin at 2 o'clock at the Bristol
reflective
Radisson.
mirror?
It was like, who uses
Glory
those?
days. Glory days there of ESPN. Some would tell you. No, I did. There were times though where I'd stay at that Residence Inn and I'd be on a treadmill and then next to Skip. So I've seen him. I've seen him on the grind.
Let's stop beating around the bush. How's this Trey Hendrickson saga going to end?
I think it's funny. Like you don't hear him talking about a trade anymore. Like they let him go out there and look for it, and he didn't find a team that was willing to give him the contract he wanted and also make the trade. So now he's talking about how he's upset with the Bengals and he wants to be there. They want him to be there. I think they end up coming to some sort of resolution. The Bengals have done that with their big guys this offseason, and I think it happens. I said to somebody the other day, like if I was doing a new contract with ESPN and I was out in the media talking about how slow they were being, my agent would call me and tell me to shut up. Like, this is not a good thing for Trey Hendrickson to be doing if he wants to get the deal he's looking for. He looks like the more desperate of the two parties, and I think the Bengals probably know that.
I'm a little bit embarrassed by your behavior. Not yours, Dan, but everyone else here. Like, you guys, there's been so much backpedaling, and you guys weren't nearly like I said to
They were talking tough, huh?
Yeah, they were. And then all of a sudden, you're in here with your 10-minute stretches and all your muscles, and no one's got anything to say all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
You chief among them, Cody, by the way.
Well,
I'm waiting.
Look, when I call him a braggart, I don't mean him to take that personally. What I mean is
why would anyone do that?
Yeah, what I mean is that people who work out a lot, people who are like allegedly, people who are obsessed with working out and every day, those people who have to tell other people about that are not my favorite people. I'm just saying that.
No, I understand. I will say that from time to time, as a result of the occasional tweets about it when tagging Peloton, like sometimes free stuff will show up at the house.
I see what you're doing there, Dan.
I'm just saying, like every now and then.
Opportunist is what I see.
It's been known to happen. So, it's not like there's no purpose to that. But obsessive. No, look,
playing the game.
There's a guy, when I used to cover the Giants, there was a guy at the Daily News, Ebenezer Samuel, and he ends up now, for years now, he's been the men's. Yes, it is. And if you look at him up on Instagram, he's like the fitness editor at Men's Health magazine. So his job is to work out. He is obsessive.
A fitness guy?
Look him up. He is obsessive about working out. He was when he covered the Giants. Like, this is the job he should have had all along, the one he has now. So that's a guy who's obsessive about working out. He wants to have superhero muscles. That's not me. I want to live as long as I can. That's why I'm doing it.
But
I don't want to die young.
He's
That's
also
pretty much my goal.
a fitness director, and you're an NFL reporter.
Exactly. You're right. He does it for a living. It just happens to be the thing that he loves. So no, not obsessive about it. Just kind of, enjoying the streak.
Let me ask you something. How do you go about deciding what your daily workout is going to be? Are you part of programs, or what do you do here? Like you're like an Andy Spear guy. You're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do core strength here for 30 days. I'm going to go by their workout that they suggest. Or you just wake up and you say, you know what? I want a little stretch today. I want a little power zone ride.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about it's over 5 years now. So the answer to that question has changed and varied over the time. Right now, they have a feature on that app that, like, here's your weekly plan. And I've just kind of been sticking to that to sort of see how it goes. And it's been heavy on, strength training. They tell you when you get to X age that's a thing you have to do more of. So I've been trying to do more of it. I've been doing that. But there are times where, I'd be like, I want to focus for this month on cardio stuff, or I want to focus for this month on, lower body strength. So periodically I have kind of changed up the routine. Sometimes it's just winging it. And sometimes it's like, well, this is a structure, a plan I've put in place for the next month or two. I'm going to stick to it and see how it goes.
Let's put this on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are we still making Ebenezer's? And also, is Dan Graziano a craven opportunist at Le Batard Show?
I'm going to pin you down on this one. Tyler Lockett to Tennessee. Is he going to join the long list of great wide receivers that just can't seem to get it done in Tennessee, and that's the end of their career?
I think what he's doing in Tennessee, I think, is mainly, he still can play, but I don't think he's there to be like their number one receiver. They're paying Calvin Ridley for that. So I think he's there, young quarterback, maybe a young group, maybe that sort of help the veteran presence, all those kind of cliches, and maybe be a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver for them, whatever it is that he has left. You talk to people in Seattle, I mean, they kept him sort of longer than I think a lot of people would anticipate, because they just love him. Like, he's, I've had people in their front office say he's one of the best football players I've ever seen in my life. He's great to have around. So I think there's benefit to Tennessee in having him, even if he's not a 70, 80 catch guy at this point.
Thank you for the thoughtful answer.
My pleasure.
Did you win the trivia contest with Bomani Jones, yes or no?
So we got to the end of that, and we asked Hembo who won, and he said he hadn't been keeping score, which was very disappointing. But I think I got more right than Bomani did that night. The first question was a Dominique Foxworth trivia question that I got correct. So I was very proud of that on the Dominique Foxworth show. But I think you play it back and probably score it yourself if you really wanted to know. I haven't done that because, I'm not a braggart.
Do you think that you're better at sports trivia than Bomani Jones, yes or no?
I would guess that his breadth of knowledge in terms of how it can probably go into different sports probably exceeds mine. I was a baseball fan growing up, a baseball nerd growing up. I knew a lot of baseball trivia, and the football has kind of fed on itself since this Hembo thing started about 6 years ago. Now I study a lot more just to be prepared. So I would say Bomani's probably better than me, but specific to the kind of stuff Hembo throws out there, I've kind of figured out to some extent vaguely what he's going to be asked.
I don't think of you as someone who has a lot of acid-soaked football opinions, but the way that you go after Aaron Rodgers has more acid on it than most of your opinions. Your present thoughts on Aaron Rodgers are what?
Just waiting, just curious what he's going to do. Not trying to guess. There's a whole cottage industry of people out there that think they know what's going on in Aaron Rodgers' head. I don't know what evidence they have to support that idea. I am not among them. Curious to see what he does next. Aaron Rodgers Dan, is one of the greatest football players I've ever seen. Every time I've ever seen him play in person, it's been a pleasure to watch. When he opens his mouth on non-football topics, it's less of a pleasure, and I think sometimes it's worth mentioning that out loud.
Is this the fittest Dan Graziano there has ever been?
Nope. I'm still not trying to knock off about 6 or 7 pounds before the season. The season's rough, man. Once I get into airports and hotels, and it's tough. Always
That's what we're
floats up
saying.
That's
a
all I
little
was
bit.
saying. That's all I was saying.
When the
was
10-minute stretches start, yeah.
But this time of year, I'm home a lot more, and you can get into the routine. That's what happened in 2020, right? Like, I'm stuck home. Everything I ate was regimented. All the exercise was regimented. I wasn't drinking like a lot of people were, and I think it helped. I went one direction while it seemed like most everybody was going the other one.
He is still 6 or 7 pounds overweight. He's Dan Graziano, one of the greats
on the day.
in South Florida history. A former fatso, no longer a fatso.
Great dimples.
I am proud of him. I am proud. Just watching his career blossom has been a real pleasure. Thank you for tolerating our nonsense, Dan. Good seeing you.
Thanks for having me. Great to talk to you.
The rest of you are an embarrassment. Just an embarrassment.
Everyone's talking about Trey Hendrickson. Check the social media. They won't shut up about it.
The Trey Hendrickson thing is interesting because, of course, he's mad that everyone else is getting the money.
Well, he could be a missing piece, including for the team that he was on. I don't know. Who's Cincinnati to be like, oh, we got Al Golden, we're fine. No, you got issues, pal.
He can't be a missing piece when he was a part of the problem last year when they were terrible at defense and couldn't stop anybody.
He's not part of the problem.
He
His
wasn't,
metrics
Dan.
are
He
defense was bad.
That's like saying Seth Jones was the problem with the Hawks, the Blackhawks.
Yo, Seth Jones, my dog. Watch it.
What?
Thought he was a spaz, according to you.
I don't remember saying.
No. He's great.
The Bengals were one of the worst defenses we've seen. Stugotz,
He had 17 and a half sacks 2 seasons in a row.
He's great. I'm not saying he's not great. He didn't make that defense any good. That defense was porous. That defense is the reason Stugotz is still arguing that the game after the Super Bowl should be played against the Bengals just because of how much Stugotz respects the Bengal offense that couldn't do anything because their greatest opponent was the Bengals defense.
Well, is it Joe Burrow's fault the Bengals didn't make the playoffs?
No, never.
I think it's kind of the same thing going on the defensive side of the ball.
Shouldn't have lost the first game of the season to the Patriots.
The Bengals did not lose because of offense. They lost because of defense, a defense anchored by Trey Hendrickson.
How many years is Joe Burrow going to get a pass?
This Hendrickson thing got everybody talking.
It is odd that all of you backtracked on Graziano. He was here, and all of you didn't want any part of that.
No, we pinned him down on Tyler Lockett, too.
I called him a bragger to his face. What are you
did.
talking about?
I want to ask you guys about what's happening in New York, where Michael Kay is saying, as the voice of the Yankees, that he did hours and hours of reporting before the Mets and Yankees played and before Juan Soto was reprimanded for not hustling on a 102-mile-an-hour line drive that he hit against Fenway's Green Monster that could have and should have been a home run in every park ever played, but was a single in this one because he was jogging. He has said, Michael Kay has said, and this is not the way you want to start in New York with a new team when you've got a $765 million contract. The one controversy you do not want on the field is not hustling. And now Michael Kay is saying that he has found that Soto is sullen, that he is sad because he never wanted to leave the Yankees in the first place. And now he is already sad with the Mets. And I was just curious what you guys thought about Juan Soto and the Mets and the idea that you have lollygagging being accused when $765 million is supposed to be anti-lollygagging.
I think it's a rough place to start, that we're just in May of year 1 out of 15, and we're having this conversation about Juan Soto.
I agree. But isn't it also kind of weird that he's in the same town but unhappy?
Right.
It's just odd.
Things fans least like to hear or see: their player not hustling and their player making that money, bragging or lamenting how sad they are. Nobody wants to see that or hear
Michael Kay is reporting that he's glum.
Sullen and glum?
Glum is the report. Forgive me, I corrected sullen.
Oh, okay,
I changed sullen to
I thought
glum.
it was both.
Which one's worse? Which one seems worse?
The Mets are better than the Yankees. Like, why does he miss the Yankees? This is just Michael Kay doing Michael Kay cheerleading for the Yankees. Oh, he really wants to be a Yankee.
Kay's been all over this, even when like when he signed with the Mets, and Kay mentioned details about that Soto's people, they wanted a private jet for family to fly to games. They wanted a suite for family at all the home games. I don't know. Kay's been all over it.
He did say he spent hours reporting this, that he went to the ballpark very early in the morning and just kept talking to people about the status and the head of Juan Soto.
That's what people say. I spent hours reporting XYZ thing, and then Zaz just says, this person's not going to get suspended on a dumb feeling, and it ends up being right. It's like, oh, wow, look at all this reporting he did.
I don't know why you're saying it's a dumb feeling when I was right
you
about
ended up
Sam
being
Bennett
right
not even getting a hearing.
Yeah.
That's right. My sources ended up being right. That is correct. Thank you.
Well, my sources say the sun's going to rise tomorrow morning. Let's see if I'm right or not.
Everybody knows that.
We'll
Do
see. Well, we don't know that until it happens, so we'll
Can't
see.
predict the future.
Have you talked to sources? Don't
I
reveal
have.
them.
Meteorological sources.
Don't reveal them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
fair.
would never reveal my sources.
We'll see.
I would go to prison for my sources. Would you?
I spent hours researching whether or not the sun's going to rise tomorrow. I guarantee it is.
Seems like a waste of time.
One of the things I enjoy watching around here is the number of people who don't spend hours researching anything, making fun of others who do and say so.
Like who? Who do you have in mind?
Well, you just did it. Billy did it as well. If Michael Kay says that he spent hours doing that, I believe him.
No, I'm not.
But you guys, last time you accused anyone of being a liar, we had him on, and then you all backtracked.
How can you say I backtrack when I
Backtrack
call
is
him a
strong.
braggart to his face?
And
Dan will admit that.
And I had no
Graziano,
opinions on the
not you.
matter initially. I was receiving the news. I believe him now. After you guys questioned him pretty hard.
Which one's worse, Glum or Sullen?
Glum.
Sullen.
I think sad is worse than glum.
I mean,
do.
they both have the one syllable thing going for them. So that's why I think Glum's worse.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Which one's worse, Glum, Sullen, or sad?
Like, I'm so sad, I can't even muster up a second syllable.
You say the city is the reason he shouldn't feel, and because he's still there and it's the same city. But I would say a clubhouse and coworkers and your daily work experience, if you're hitting well with the Yankees and the crowds are flush and you're in Flushing and you're not hitting well and the crowds aren't, and your coworkers, you don't particularly get along with them. I've told you guys before that Chris Bosch said rather eloquently, you never know the sacrifices you're making until you're making
Yeah,
them.
no doubt. I mean, you could be working at the same place for your entire career and have moments where you're unhappy. Look what happened with Jimmy Butler. He was happy until he wasn't happy. It's just odd because he's in the same city. He's making the same kind of money. He probably really hasn't changed up his routine outside of where he does his job, which is also a very individual sport, even though you're traveling with these guys. Like, your job is very much you're at the dish by yourself doing that. So it's just odd.
The attendance difference also is 42,000 to 36,000. Like, it's not like he's playing in Miami or in Tampa.
Why is that funny?
I mean, nobody wants to hear Juan Soto complain about anything. I'll be honest with you. What are you sad about? Seriously, I'm talking to Juan Soto right now. What are you sad about?
Sullen, not sad, is the report. Kay also said Soto, quote, doesn't have a hop in his step, whatever that means.
That's not a report.
I mean, that was the report.
Hours of research. That's what we got. He doesn't have a hop in his step. Yeah, if anyone said that wasn't named Michael Kay, you would make fun of them relentlessly. It's just Michael Kay's your friend, so you're giving him a pass.
I feel like
he's not going to his funeral, though.
I feel like
Mike, he's not going to Michael Kay's, or Michael Kay's not going to Dan?
He's not going to Michael Kay's.
Oh.
Maybe both.
I wouldn't either. Put some pep in your step, Soto. That's what I would tell him.
I feel like I was making fun of him when I said reported not having a hop in his step, whatever that means. I do believe that was making fun of him. But you can question my credibility and his research.
I guess I know the answer to it, but if you're Juan Soto, and let's say that he is unhappy, all right? If you're Juan Soto and you were seemingly happy then last year with the Yankees, why would you then sign for 15 years in a place that you don't know? I get it's the same city, but I'm happy right now, but I'm going to commit myself to 15 years to a place I got no idea.
I think what ends up happening in a lot of these instances, this is a Boris client, right? And I'm not saying that that's what's happening in this instance, but I've seen it happen a number of times with Boris clients, at least in part because he gets the percentage of the larger deal. They almost always select the greater deal, and in a lot of instances, it's a young player from another country, and the dollars don't even make sense what the difference is between 500 million and 700 million, but you have an expert who's in charge of your finances, and what's the difference? How bad can it be going from the Yankees to the Mets when you've already gone from Washington to San Diego? How bad could it possibly be? And then you suddenly realize, oh, being the Yankee in New York isn't the second-class thing that being the Met in New York is, because it's the stepchild forever in that city. I don't know. I'm guessing we'll get my friend Michael Kay on and not question him to his face tomorrow when we backtrack when he comes on and we're all his friend instead of just me.
When Scott Boras signs a client, like, yes, it's always the highest bidder with Scott Boras. I wonder, though, when Scott Boras signs a client, does he tell them when the time comes, we go to the highest bidder? That's the way this. If we're working together, this is what happens.
I'd have you guys look up for me when Boris's clients don't go to just the person offering the most money. Scott Boras is so responsible for showing all of us how underpaid all of these athletes are when baseball can afford to pay Juan Soto this way. But I remember famously many years ago, Scott Boras saying, when talking about work stoppages and strikes, he said, baseball is the only sport anywhere in the world that goes down the grocery store, kicking the can down the aisle, denting the can, kicking it, ruining it, and then putting it back on the shelf and asking you to buy it. Because we're always talking about the money until Greg Cody gets to the point where all he cares about Juan Soto is never hearing a word from him by way of complaint, because Juan Soto is just a bag of dollars to him and not like the best young hitter since Ted Williams.
No, if Juan Soto is sad or glum because he has mental health issues, I would never make fun of him. If he's sad because he's making all that money and can't quite adjust to a new clubhouse, then I have very little sympathy. And here's another thing. What you said was correct about the Yankees always owning that town. So does Aaron Judge. He's also in the deep shadow of Aaron Judge, the team he left.
Easier to be on that team as the second notion than as the leader on the laughingstock. I should point out Soto's got an opt-out after 5 years. So if he wants to get out of that contract, he can. And my guess is that it'll be over Scott Boris's dead body.
I would think it'd be easier to be a Met. Less pressure, like less media. I mean, I know they still get a lot of media attention. It's just I don't get it.
Well, the pressure with the Yankees was on Judge, not Soto. Soto was...
You just said being the number 2 with the Yankees would be more like pressure than being the number 1 with the Mets.
No, I didn't say that. I said quite the reverse, actually. If you get to play in the shadow of Aaron Judge, it is easier than immediately signing the contract. Look, I know I make fun of that Robert De Niro movie, The Fan, because it was terrible.
Hey, Bobby!
That's a good impersonation. Limited fake Robert De Niro as an umpire. Again, I don't want...
What a twist.
I'm going to spoil the movie. Spoiler alert, even though it's not spoiler alert Wednesday. A little unusual to have a movie end, again, spoiler alert, in the rain with the umpire stabbing somebody with a knife, a player with a knife during play.
Did Juan Primo dirty, too.
It's put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Weirder thing in a movie, the running back shooting opposing players in The Last Boy Scout, or the umpire Robert De Niro stabbing a player during play. But the premise of that movie was that Wesley Snipes was playing under the pressure of a contract, and the pressure of a contract made him a less great player. It is a thing. Like when you come to a city and are the savior for the Mets, an international and national laughingstock, and all of a sudden you've got 765 million reasons in that batter's box with you when you're swinging that make you think more than you should when you shouldn't be thinking.
All he wanted was a thank you.
Do you want to talk more about The Fan? Because it feels like you do. I can't believe how much you know about this movie.
Bobby!
It's a good impersonation he's doing. It was a truly terrible movie, unlike the previously mentioned Final Reckoning, which we still haven't talked about.
That's got an 86 presently on Rotten
88
Tomatoes.
I saw.
All right, so it's ticked up a little bit. I did get a report from someone that saw it. That said, it starts off a little slow. But by the end, boy, do they bring it home.
Nice.
And the way that the Mission Impossible movies work is they map out the stunts at the start, and then they write a story about that. And there were several stunts in this movie that you wonder aloud, how did he survive this?
Wow. Billy says he might go to the movies.
I mean, you
might.
should.
I'm looking now, 249, those long.
That's Tom's whole thing, is that you need to get your butt to the theaters because he saved theaters. So you owe it to him to reward him for saving movies.
Owe it to him?
Yes, he saved movies.
Did he?
With Top Gun 2, yes. He saved more than just the movies. You can make an argument he saved society briefly.
He was kind of an opportunist, if we're going to be honest, with Top Gun, right? Because that was supposed to come out in 2020, and then he held it back until it was just safe enough to go back to movies. Had he put that out when it was supposed to come out, he wouldn't have saved movies. And dare I say, his career might be over.
Well, at least he gave him credit for saving movies. That's what I heard.
Do you see that on the thing? It says, like, Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible, and then it says filmed for IMAX. So it's telling you, go to see it on the biggest screen possible. It was made to be seen on IMAX.
Are you guys ever down for a 2-hour and 49-minute movie?
Yes.
Of any kind?
I'm never excited about it. And maybe a movie will get me excited enough that I'm like, okay, I'll sit through it, but I'm always going to make a groan when I see it.
I wish I wouldn't have seen it, honestly. Like, if I would have just gone, I would have been fine, and then I would have looked at my watch after and be like, oh, that was a long movie.
I'm hoping the new Superman movie is 4 hours long.
Really?
What? Yeah.
Superman's such a boring character.
That's 2 long movies. 249 is 2 long movies. A movie should be a minute and 10 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes.
He's right.
That's it.
Put it on the
out,
poll.
bing, bang.
Should a movie be a minute and 10 minutes?
Yes.
Put it on the poll.
No, an hour, and I corrected myself.
Put it on the poll. Should a movie be a minute and 10 minutes?
That kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. Thank you. That kind of thing. Got to run those words together, Le Batard. Slur them a little bit. That kind of thing.
So, The Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is now just called Dead Reckoning because they gave up on Part 1, Part 2. Right. They were ahead of everybody on AI.
Minnesota OKC tonight. Tony believes that Minnesota's size will be a problem for OKC, has been a problem for OKC. I'm used to the 68-win team always wins this series, Juju, with one noticeable exception. Golden State winning 72 games, being up 3-1, and then losing to LeBron, Kyrie, Draymond goes crazy. Do you expect Minnesota to be hugely problematic for the Thunder?
Yeah, I think they will be hugely problematic for the Thunder. I don't know if their size will be a problem, you feel me? But I think that Ant-Man has shown, he has shown everybody in the world that he can perform in those big moments. I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves, like they did the Lakers, you got to beat them. You're going to have to go through their defense. You're going to have to actually execute. And some of the performances they had last series, J-Dub, I see you. You can't have those games off against this team right here. I definitely believe my brother Tony when he says that it will be a problem for them boys.
Jude, the other thing, too, is you saw Denver go to a zone and defending SGA in a different way, and that kind of caused the role players for Oklahoma City to have to go and score, and we saw J-Dub put up 3 games of sub 30% shooting from the field, sub 20% shooting from the field until that last game. But I think Minnesota, Chris Finch and them boys are looking around and saying, okay, wait a second, we got Gobert, we could play a bit of a zone, we've got some defenders, McDaniels, we could throw out a couple different looks to confuse SGA and to force some of those role players that are still young, Chet Holmgren, to force them to score. And I think that's what could be interesting in the series.
Right. I think the NBA playoffs is a great source of blueprints. You feel me? Like every other series, you can look at it and say, oh, dang, this is what worked for Denver and this is what didn't work. So I think that given their cast of people performing some of those same tasks against that team, it could prove to be a problem. You know what I mean?
I think the depth with Denver was the issue. They had 6 guys that they could play, and realistically, one of those guys was Russell Westbrook, who would give you terrible games. The Wolves are much more deep in the sense that they can have 3-4 guys off the bench, and they can play a lot more. So for me, I'm looking at this series, and it's going to be, can Ant make the decisions that are going to be the right team decisions instead of the right superhero Ant-Man decisions?
Right.
I'd add something to this, by the way. Julius Randle's not going to look like he has in that series. This last stretch where he converts 74% of the shots around the rim, it's the greatest stretch, according to Cleaning the Glass, that he's ever hit. Any season, playoff run, any time. He simply won't be able to do that against this defense. He will be vastly more inefficient than he's been because he's always been inefficient, and OKC will make him inefficient. The other thing I think is interesting in this series is that the Thunder had 74 steals against Denver. It's the most in 30 years in a playoff series. That's absurd. You can't be stealing the ball that much. And I'm telling you, hunting dogs chasing down an elephant. Jokic is exhausted. And that's why that happened. I don't believe Minnesota will be a challenge for OKC. I think they're going to be inefficient because OKC is going to make them inefficient.
Yep, clip it. You guys know what to do. Clip that and play this around game 3 whenever the Timberwolves are up 3-0. But now you pose an interesting point, dog, because like you say, it's their inefficiency and their youth that sometimes be the gift and the curse with the Thunder. So I think they may have cleaned up a lot of that stuff by going through a 7-game series with the former champs, the Denver Nuggets. So yeah, it could be a problem, but I don't know. But speaking of a problem, I think that we're facing right now with the NBA, we got to announce the NBA MVP way sooner than this right here. Like, we should announce the MVP right after the regular season. Let's not even wait till the round 1, round 2. Let's get this out of the way because shortly we're going to have to announce Finals, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, and it's gonna be overshadowed. I feel like, what if SGA has a piss poor performance in this series or whatever? So, Adam Silver, announce these MVPs a little sooner, brother.
We'll get to polls in a second. I just want to run it by you because it's fodder around these parts. Do you think it's at all possible that Bill Belichick is learning with the rest of us that he's engaged?
Yeah, I think I don't know. Matter of fact, I want to salute my sister, Jordan. You feel me? Like, look, she doing what she got to do. Like, she's been a good woman. She's supporting her man. As well, all I can see so far, I haven't seen her be a harm to the brother. I seen her save him from himself in instances, got him on the beach doing yoga. I salute my little sis because she getting the job done. You feel me?
Put it on the poll.
That's a fine.
Can you rule out that Bill Belichick is just learning of his engagement at Le Batard Show? What are your thoughts here? I said earlier with Jamel that I thought you were very good on the subject of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark yesterday and how it just is insulting to the WNBA that people like me are perpetually gravitating toward the stories that aren't the stories that merit commentary because of the play. What are your thoughts about RG3's reaction, though, as I make that apology and then go straight back to it? RG3 and Ryan Clark and that particular back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's very unfortunate that the Shania Gumagways, the Rise Goals of the world don't get more of their opinion blasted. It's like me having an opinion of Erling Haaland. You know what? You know how I know Erling Haaland hates Lamine Yamal, and then I go viral for that. The Chris Whittinghams of the world would be like, brother, what in the hell is you doing? Like, you don't watch this as much as I do. And I feel like, unfortunately, we live in such a clickbaity world. We live in where likes and views matter the most, that this type of propaganda gets spewed and spread it. And I think it does a disservice to the game that we pay so much attention to these novices. Ask RG3, what was the Wings versus the Storm score last night? Can you tell me that? And then I want to hear your opinion on some of these matters. But I think that it's just very unfortunate, man, especially for a brother like himself with such a big platform to spew some of these incorrect things about the sister. You did, like Jamel said, bro, this black woman means a lot to a lot of black women around the world, so does Caitlin Clark mean a lot to a lot of little Caucasian girls around the world. We shouldn't have to pit them against each other, especially in a 30-point loss. You feel me? Like it doesn't bode well for the sport, and it doesn't bode well for the mental health of these sisters. I've been lied on. I've been had false narratives created about myself by people who had clear intentions to take me out before. You feel me? So I know how it feels to be on the other side of this. You dig it? Sorry for going on a rant. But look, if my reality, if my lived experiences trigger you, then you, sir, are a part of the problem.
This has happened with the UFC before, where you beg for the coverage and then you get the coverage and you don't love how the coverage feels because the coverage isn't the way that you want it to feel.
Might not always be perfect.
The other thing that I want to say, though, about that Minnesota series before I get clipped is there is no player in the NBA better in defending the rim than Chet Holmgren, not Victor Wembanyama.
This is incredible analysis from you. Do you got something on Edmonton, Dallas, too? Like, what is happening right now? Where were you during against the spread? I could have used this. I'm taking OKC.
I don't like previewing games. I'm just telling you that Gobert, Wembanyama, none of these people are as good defending the rim as Chet Holmgren, like by percentage. The league average is 61% at the rim. Against him, it's like 44 or 45%.
You keep looking at what you got.
I looked something.
You got that Glengarry leads
What do you
over
have
there.
in there, huh?
I looked up something. I looked something up on a computer.
How'd you Google that?
Yeah.
Hours of research.
Give me that stuff.
What do you have for polls for us, Juju?
Yes, sir. Before I get to the poll, I want to thank the show today because before y'all mentioned it today, I thought the New Orleans Pelicans, Jose Alvarado, was out 80 games of the season. I was like, that's the whole season. But thank you for letting me know that there's a pitcher named Jose Alvarado.
I looked at Mike. I was like, damn, I didn't even hear that.
Right. Poll number 1. Did the Bash Brothers invent weightlifting? 59% of the audience says, yes, they did.
Really?
Wow. Arnold's going to be pissed.
Is it impossible to not make the NIT tournament when you have a healthy number 1 pick on your team? 80% of the audience says, yes, it is impossible.
I think they turned down the invite, to be fair.
Are German pounds different than American pounds? 85% of the audience says, yes, they are.
Everyone knew that.
I didn't know it. Do you get vertigo while sitting in the movie seats during a horror movie? Salute to Zaz. 67% of the audience says, no, they don't, brother.
Vertigo sucks. I would only wish it on my worst enemy.
All right. Does Del Rey's annual garlic festival slay?
This is big.
66% of the audience says, yes, it does slay, Greg. Yes. Do you improve your wardrobe by saying, I look good, yo? 73% of the audience says, yes, you do.
Hell yeah.
Who do you want to win the championship? Whew, this is a big poll.
This is a big one.
29% of the audience say they want the Timberwolves to win the championship.
Wow. Give us all those
I'll
results.
bet the Knicks aren't even number 2.
The Knicks are number 2 with 28% of
no
the
one
audience.
cares about number 2.
We can all
No
agree
one
the Knicks are
cares.
number 2.
Is
No
it
one
fully
cares.
split,
Yeah.
Juju, or like the other two in the 20s? Obviously,
23% say Thunder and 20% say Pacers.
that's a split.
Wow,
that's as
a good
split
poll.
as I've ever seen 4 teams.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
right. As a Celtics fan, I gotta admit, I kind of want to see what the world looks like when Gotham City burns. I want the Knicks to kind of do it. I love Ant-Man, but it'll just be cinema. Are most grandfathers racist? 85% of the audience says yes, they are.
Sorry, Dad.
Are we still making Ebenezer's? 89% of the audience says no, we are not. Which is worse, glum, sullen, or sad? 60% of the audience says sullen.
Wow.
And last poll, more surprising scene in a movie: the umpire stabbing a player, attaboy Bobby, or the running back shooting a gun. 54% of the audience says the umpire stabbing a player, and those are your polls.
Dad, you can wait till we're done to start packing up.
I'm sorry.
At least he's still
My voice-
here.
I know. That's true. Where the hell Dan go?
Where'd Dan go? Where'd LeBatard go?
My voice does that to people.